Hello, everyone. You have tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police Indianapolis District Public Information Office. We welcome you to our show, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, and our friend behind the microphone and behind the camera, Tom Trial, putting us on YouTube each and every week. And we thank him for being here and making himself available each and every week to have us available on YouTube. We have a special guest here today that's has never been with us on our roadshow today, but is very, very familiar with radio. Trooper Randy McPike. Randy, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here today.
And if you'll notice, that voice is the golden voice of radio. He's not a stranger by any means to radio. He's been with radio beforehand. Give us a little background there on your radio stint there, Randy.
I actually started on my 16th birthday at WCBK in Martinsville, Indiana, and I went to church with the program director there, who is still the program director. I guess you could call him a lifer.
Yeah.
And I was looking for some part-time work as a teenager going to high school, and he said, "How about radio? Have you ever thought about that?" And I thought, well, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So I started there on my 16th birthday, which was in 1985. And worked at WCBK in Martinsville for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. In 1995, I went to WBAT and WCJC in Marion and was the news director there until 2000, early 2000, when I went to the Indiana State Police Academy.
Now that did John, the news director or program director down there,
yes, sir,
John Taylor, did he pick you for your voice? Did he say, "Hey, you got a voice for radio," or is like me? Did he say you got a face for radio?
Probably a little bit of both.
Well, that was
John and I have never really had that conversation, but
well, he knew what he was doing. Again, 10 years and a wonderful career there. That was and I'm sure that carried out throughout. You moved to Marion. Why did you?
For the job, yes.
Okay.
For the job at WBAT. When I graduated from Indiana University in 1992, I sent out resumes and audition tapes, which were actual physical tapes back then, to radio stations all over Indiana. And they came across it and apparently held it at WBAT.
Okay.
And in 1995 gave me a call, and things worked out, and I ended up being the news director there for almost 5 years.
Well, that's wonderful. So what made you say, "Hey, I want to go to be an Indiana State Trooper then"?
Well, it was actually one of your cohorts, Sergeant Rod Russell,
of
the Red Key District.
Oh, yeah.
Public Information Officer. He sent out a press release probably around 1997, 1998, just kind of a standard thing for you guys, I'm sure, about recruiting. And we need troopers and so on and so forth. And it piqued my interest at that time, and I thought, boy, that would be interesting. And then every time I saw a trooper working out on the side of the road, my interest grew.
Right.
So in 1999, I was out on a detail with Rod covering it for WBAT. Okay. And we were on the interstate, and I said, what would I need to do if I wanted to become a trooper? And as I recall, papers started flying. And he said, "I'll take care of you, man." And he started getting all the applications.
That's Rod Russell anyway. It's 24/7, paper flying and hair on fire.
Rod is 100 miles an hour and zero. There's nothing in between. So he got me the application, and I was fortunate enough to make it through the process. And in January of 2000, I started the process. And in June of 2000, I graduated and became a trooper.
Now, have you done any radio since then? Kind of kept it on the back burner, or?
I actually do some freelance. Probably most of what I do is public address announcing for the local high school in my area.
Okay.
I do football and basketball there, and that was a lot of fun. My son just graduated a couple of years ago and was playing on the football team, so I got to call his name.
That's great.
That was a lot of fun.
That is good. So and a daughter coming up through high school. Maybe she'll be doing some sports.
She started just this month, yes.
Well, that's great. Well, that's a wonderful story. I'm glad to hear that. So you graduated from Police Academy. Where did you go?
I went to the Peru Post.
Okay.
And I was assigned there. I actually lived in the county adjacent to where the post facility is.
All right.
And so I was able to stay home, which was nice, because I had a wife and a 4-year-old son, and my daughter was on the way. She was actually born 1 month to the day after I graduated from recruit school. So I had a family, and it was nice to be able to stay at home. And after I completed my field training at Peru, there was actually an officer who wanted to transfer to the Red Key district, which is the district where the county in which I lived was part of. And he decided at the last minute that he didn't want to take that transfer. So I pretty much became the beneficiary of that situation.
Good.
As the district lieutenant said, would you like to take this person's transfer over to Red Key? And I got to work my home county and be in my home district. So I said, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir, very quickly.
Yes.
So did you've worked the county, and I know you're a commercial vehicle now. Did you go straight from trooping the road to that?
Yes,
job?
I did.
Okay.
I was a trooper for approximately 7 years. And in 2007, applied for promotion to become a commercial vehicle enforcement officer.
Right.
And was very fortunate to be awarded that position in June of 2007. And I've been there ever since, and really, really enjoy working with the schools and in school transportation. I think I've really found my niche there.
And that's what we're going to talk about in a roundabout way. Getting to that is we've got schools starting up everywhere now in Indiana, and Randy is a school bus transportation safety officer for the Indiana State Police. So is that what you start out with, CVED, on the school bus side of it?
For the most part. Back then we had a team, and it took a few weeks during the summertime when we did all of the school bus inspections. We had a team of 7 people in Peru where I was assigned at that time. Still am, but now I am the person who does all of the school bus inspections. We changed the program a few years ago, and instead of taking people off the road and having a team that does inspections for just a few weeks during the summer, I actually start my inspections in March, my annual inspections, and then I finish them up at the end of July.
Wow.
I take the month of August off to work the state fair, and if you come by the North booth, I will be there during the day and would be glad to talk to you and happy to talk to you. And then in September, we start the 12-year inspections, which any bus which is at least 12 years old has to be inspected twice per year. Every bus, then there are a little over 16,000 transporting about 1 million students in the state of Indiana, has to be inspected once every year. Those are the annual inspections. And then the buses that are at least 12 years old have to be inspected twice per year. And those inspections have to take place sometime between 5 and 7 months from their annual inspection. And then we have post-crash inspections. We have spot inspections. So there are several categories of actual physical inspections of school buses, which has become obviously a significant portion of what we do as school transportation safety officers, but it's not the only thing that we do either.
And I know a couple of years ago, you guys, and maybe even longer than that, kind of enacted something with, I think it started out with BlackBerry. Maybe it's moved on up to something that you're doing a lot of this electronically now, that the parents or anybody can go online and look at the results.
Absolutely. It started out with a BlackBerry platform, and the folks at our Information Office of Technology for the state of Indiana actually wrote an iPad app, and now we use iPad minis. So when I go to a school, I actually physically do the inspection, enter the information into the iPad, and once I'm finished at that school, if I have a good cell signal, or when I get to a place where I have a good cell signal, then I upload those inspections. So usually within just a matter of minutes of completing the inspections at a particular school, anyone will be able to get on our website at www.in.gov/ISP, look for commercial vehicle enforcement and school bus safety, and you will be able to see those inspections, plus a history of the inspections on that particular bus.
And that's for any school in the state of Indiana?
Yes, it is.
That's wonderful. That's great. And so are there different kinds of, I don't know if I want to call them failure, but violations or something that
Yes, we
happen?
have what you would call ordered repaired violations. These are more minor, like a light goes out. And that's something that can happen while the bus is in line.
Exactly.
And if there is a situation where a lot of those kinds of situations, a mechanic will be there and will be able to fix things as we are conducting the inspection, because it takes me about 7 to 10 minutes to actually do the physical inspection of a school bus. And if they can fix that, obviously, then we approve the bus right at that point and it rolls away. If they're not able to fix that minor violation, then they can have a 30-day temporary permit, and they can haul students and so forth during that particular time and use the bus as normal. But then I will have to come back to that school and physically re-inspect those particular items which were found to be in violation. but were not major or what we call out-of-service violations during that 30 days. So those, again, can be anything from lights out to faded paint on the hood, other kinds of minor situations. We inspect over 50 areas of criteria on a school bus. And you might have a seat that's torn, something of that nature. Then the more serious violations, such as bad brakes, a crack in a frame, something like that, those are considered out of service. And at that point, the bus is declared out of service and is not allowed to be used to transport students until those out of service violations are taken care of.
Now, do you have to come back and reinspect those in, or are they given a certain amount of time, or that's just you got to take care of it before you call us? Okay.
Because that bus is considered out of service, it can't be used at all.
Right.
So those are the first ones, obviously, that they fix, because they obviously have a need in their fleet for each one of those vehicles, even if it's just a spare bus.
Yeah.
So they will typically get those taken care of as quickly as possible, and then they will contact me, and I will get back out there as soon as possible to be able to get those back in service for them.
And I'm sure you find that most school corporations work well hand in hand with you and are probably calling you for advice all the time, because they want to make sure that these buses are safe for their passengers.
Absolutely. I have, no offense to you or anyone else, but I have the best job in the department. I have the opportunity to help people who are interested in doing the right thing and want to do the right thing.
Right.
And all I have to do is just verify that they are doing the right thing. And I do get, just this morning, for example, I got an email from one of my transportation directors who had just hired a new mechanic. And he said, my mechanic has a Class A CDL. Will he be able to drive this bus without students to a repair facility?
Right.
And I was explaining to him, make sure he has a P endorsement or a passenger endorsement on his CDL, because even to drive a bus empty, or any commercial vehicle that has a capacity of over 15 people, including the driver, you have to have a passenger endorsement. So if he needs to transport students, he needs an S endorsement, but if it's just to transport the bus itself and it's empty, he needs a P endorsement. So I'm fielding questions like that all the time and have to get into my statute books, both on the state and the federal side, to advise transportation directors. But I work with tremendous people, and I know there are tremendous people all over the state. I see them at the annual state school bus conference. And like I said, I have the greatest job in the world because I get to just verify that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, I know you guys do a bang-up job. I've done some public information stuff with the news agencies, with the media, following you guys around. You're up under the bus. You're inside the bus. You're under the hood. It's a very thorough job what you guys do. And I'm sure we appreciate it as parents, and as a school facility would appreciate it too, because those are very important cargo that's being hauled on there.
Absolutely. And I look at every single bus as if my own children were riding it.
Yeah. So when this school starts, do you come back and start all over? I mean, you're never probably ever finished.
Not really. I have about 800 buses in my district. So like I said, it takes me from the 1st of March to about the end of July to inspect and conduct all the annual inspections.
Right.
And then during the months of September through about the end of January, I conduct semi-annual inspections. And about 100 of the 800 buses that I have in my particular district are eligible for those 12-year inspections, or for those semi-annual inspections. And then during the month of February, I block out, when I'm not working crashes and out on the interstate and doing all those wonderful winter weather things that we as troopers have to do.
Yeah.
I do public programs, and I also block out most of the month of February when I'm not doing road duties for conducting drug and alcohol audits.
Okay.
A school is considered a CDL employer, and CDL employers are required to follow federal guidelines, and there are many things that schools as public entities or as governmental entities are exempt from. But one of the things that they are not exempt from are drug and alcohol testing for drivers.
And I'm sure that school wants you to come in and talk to them and have
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's very
And
good.
those are big compliance issues, and they appreciate
that
the time that I
information
spend
coming
with
in
them there.
Well, Randy, we've run out of time. We've talked too long and too quick, but I appreciate you coming in so much and giving us information about school. And again, that's our number one priority, is keeping those kids safe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Randy's going to be out at the State Fair, so if you get on the North booth, you'll be out there. Drop by and see him. Again, this has been the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We thank you for listening to our show today. We've been talking about school bus transportation safety with Trooper Randy McPike from CVED. We'll talk to you next week. Roadshow out.